Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1808B, and today's date is March 6th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Moves and Countermoves. We are witnessing a death blossom. Before we get started, I wanted to talk about security. Did you know installing the Facebook app on your Android or iPhone automatically gives them your right consent to collect the history of your precise location? There is a setting called Location History on your Facebook app that comes enabled by default. Now, apps can still track where you are and what you do online using your IP address and browsing history. To protect yourself from these threats and attacks on your privacy, use Virtual Shield. This month, Virtual Shield is offering a spring special of 30% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons. So protect your personal data now and click the link below. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, Q dropped some more bread today, and we're going to be talking about that in just a minute. But first, let's start off with Michael Bloomberg. It looks like he is out of the presidential race. He's saying he's not going to pursue the 2020 elections anymore, and a lot of people are talking about the corruption within his organization. There's individuals that are being brought up on charges, some executives in his construction area. And we also see that Bloomberg saying that he might fight for the carbon-free future. Now, the question is, whenever I hear carbon, I think of Al Gore and how he was selling carbon credits and he was making a lot of money off of it, selling absolutely nothing. I wonder if Bloomberg is going to be heading down that path where he's going to be selling carbon credits, because we need to stop climate change. Maybe not. But we can see there's many different people that are backing out of the presidential 2020 race. And one of them is Clinton. She decided that she's not going to be running for president. Or maybe she will, maybe she won't. It seems like she's very undecided, but we'll be talking about that in just a minute. It looks like Christopher Steele, this is the former MI6 individual who created the Steele dossier, and he was supposed to be making an appearance at a pro-democracy gathering at Baltimore, and it looks like he backed out, maybe because of Michael Cohen's testimony, where Cohen debunked a claim in the dossier that he traveled to Prague in August of 2016 to meet with Kremlin officials, and we can see that Steele decided, something, I'm not going to give a talk. Donald Trump Jr., he tweeted out the following: "Weird that all of a sudden the fake dossier author paid for by Hillary and the DNC, etc., no longer wants to show up and testify. Spooked, Christopher Steele cancels appearance after Cohen testimony destroys dossier allegation." So once again, it looks like he is backing out. He doesn't want to do anything, and they're caught. This is the big problem here. They are caught in a lie, and they are backed into a corner, and they can't figure out how to get out of this. We know that Jerry Nadler, Adam Schiff, and Elijah Cummings, they're all out there, and they've sent 81 letters or so to find a crime that Trump has committed. And Alan Dershowitz is out there, and he stated that the congressional investigation into the president looks like they're going too far. He further stated that if he were one of the people who received a letter or subpoena from Congress, he would sue. He said, "A balance has to be struck between the legitimate function of Congress to investigate. The framers didn't intend for Congress to become yet another prosecutorial branch, yet another investigative branch. They're supposed to pass laws and so on. It seems to me these investigations look like they're going too far." He went on to say, if you go back to the cases in the 50s, the courts sometimes did say, look, Congress, you've gone too far. This is not within your legitimate function. And so if I were one of the people who got a letter or subpoena, I would at least think about the possibility of bringing a lawsuit and suggesting that Congress is abusing its oversight function, which they are. There's no reason for them to look into Trump's finances. And we know from Jerry Nadler, which we played yesterday, there is no evidence. He admitted it. But he has his thoughts, his suspicions, and what he thinks is really going on. That's meaningless. But yet again, they're doing it because they're panicking. We see Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows They are requesting a slew of Obama-era documents and communications related to attempted interference in the 2016 election from the Department of Homeland Security, Kirstjen Nielsen. And this is what they're requesting. All documents and communications created, prepared, and used for the purpose of briefing members of Congress about the threat of foreign interference in the 2016 presidential election. All documents created, prepared, or used for the purpose of briefing campaign officials about the threat of foreign interference in the 2016 presidential election. All documents and communication between or among Secretary Johnson or any other DHS employee, Director Comey, or any other FBI employee, or Lisa Monaco, or any other National Security Council employees relating to briefing members of Congress about the Russian government's attempt to interfere in the 2016 election, and all documents and communications produced to the Senate Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs responsive to Chairman Johnson's request of June 6, 2018. So it looks like Jim Jordan, Mark Meadows, they are gathering a lot of information to be used later. And Jim Jordan, he was out there and he's saying, listen, what I know is there is not one bit of evidence to know any type of coordination, collusion, conspiracy whatsoever between the Trump campaign and Russia to impact the election. He said there is all kinds of evidence to show that Clinton campaign worked with Russians to impact the elections via the whole thing I just described, where they fired the law firm who hired Fusion, who hired Christopher Steele, who communicated with Russians and put together the fake dossier. Yes, there's tons and tons of evidence of all this, but there's no evidence of Russian collusion or Russia interfering with the elections. Actually, the Senate, the House, and soon the Mueller report is going to show there is nothing. This is why the deep state, the mainstream media, they're really not mentioning Russian collusion anymore. They're trying to figure out what narrative to use, but they're falling short. They really can't think of anything except let's look to see if Trump obstructed justice, or he committed a crime, or he did something with his finances. Again, they're just picking out things. There's really nothing going on. There's no crime, there's no evidence, there's nothing. It's absolutely ridiculous, but they're panicking. That's why they're doing this. We see that Trump has nominated a federal prosecutor for the number 3 position in the Department of Justice. This is Jessie Liu. She's going to be the Associate Attorney General, the 3rd highest position in the Department of Justice. She's going to take the place of who? Well, we've heard this name before. She's going to be replacing Rachel Brand, who stepped down last year. And the Associate Attorney General will not play a role in criminal and national security matters, and will also not be involved in the process surrounding Special Counsel Robert Mueller's ongoing probe. What she will be doing, she'll be monitoring the department's antitrust and civil rights work, as well as defending the government in litigation, including the president's decisions. Very interesting. We see out in North Korea, the mainstream media, the intelligence organizations, they are right on schedule. Think about what has happened. Trump was in Vietnam at a summit with Kim Jong-un, hammering out some type of denuclearization peace deal. Nothing got solved. Trump came back and said, listen, we were talking, we're very friendly, and I believe that there's no rush. We will get to it, and we want it to be right. We're also setting up a liaison office in North Korea to speak to Kim Jong-un. We also know that Trump communicates with Kim Jong-un through letters. He doesn't use texting, doesn't use email. He uses private letters to communicate with Kim Jong-un. But the mainstream media and the intelligence organizations decided, hey, since nothing happened, let's put out a story that Kim Jong-un, once he arrived back in North Korea, started to build nuclear missile sites again. And let's show it through satellites. Yes, this is what we'll do to make everyone think that Kim Jong-un is now not working with the president. He's getting ready to create nuclear missiles. He'll be firing them off, and they'll be aiming at the United States, Trump has failed. I mean, they're right on schedule. It's unbelievable. Let's go back in time a little bit. Remember in July 30th, 2018, the Washington Post came out with U.S. spy agencies, North Korea is working on a new missile. Remember the New York Times, this was back in November, says in North Korea, missile bases suggest a great deception. Now back then, everyone thought we weren't going to have peace. The peace plan that Trump laid out, it wasn't working. So they started their rumors up once again. Trump tweeted out the following back in July. A rocket has not been launched by North Korea in 9 months. Likewise, no nuclear tests. Japan is happy. All of Asia is happy. But the fake news is saying, without ever asking me, always anonymous sources, that I am angry because it is not going fast enough. Wrong. Very happy. Back in November of 2018, Trump tweeted out the following. The story in the New York Times concerning North Korea developing missile bases is inaccurate. We fully know about the sites being discussed. Nothing new. Nothing happening out of the normal. Just more fake news. I'll be the first to let you know if things go bad. So let's fast forward to today. Trump came back from North Korea, and they didn't decide on denuclearization. They didn't hammer out a peace plan. The mainstream media, and remember at the same time, this is when they had Cohen testifying. The mainstream media went crazy, saying that, oh, look, Trump didn't get anything done there. It looks like Trump and Kim Jong-un, they're not seeing eye to eye. But what came out of it is that there's a liaison office being set up in North Korea. I believe during this period, Trump was not going to get the response that he wanted if he did make a deal, because the Cohen testimony would have overshadowed all of it. Plus, he wants to show the American people, the mainstream media, that he's in a position of strength. If you notice, he likes these leaders coming to him. And I believe Kim Jong-un, after discussing it with the liaisons in North Korea, he will be approaching Trump, and maybe even Trump will show the letter once again, that yes, we are working out a deal. They have agreed to denuclearize, and we will reduce the sanctions. And again, this will be on his own terms. He will call a press conference. This way, the mainstream media might not even know what he's going to be talking about. They might have some inkling, but there'll be no leaks. And then he'll go off and talk about what he wants to talk about. And the mainstream media will be covering the entire thing. He'll let the American public know exactly what happened. Kim Jong-un came to me. We hammered out a deal. And look, they're cooperating. Everything the mainstream media has been saying, it's all fake news. Once again, he's accomplished two things. The mainstream media is fake, and he made a deal with North Korea. We see right now the neocons, the deep state, they are jumping up and down because Trump has agreed to keep troops in Syria. Or has he? Now, certain individuals, a group of senators and representatives, they decided to create this letter. And Trump actually signed the letter, and he says he agrees 100%. Now, when you take a look at the letter, you have to look at it very carefully because it's a little misleading in what NBC and all the mainstream media outlets are putting out there. And Trump is actually very smart the way he does these things. So if you look at the letter, on top it says, I agree 100%, dash, all is being done, and then he signed it. But the thing is, he highlighted a certain part in the letter, and this is the part he's talking about. So let's read that part that he's saying, yes, I agree, all is being done. So it says, like you, we seek to ensure that all the gains made in Syria are not lost, that ISIS never returns, that Iran is not emboldened, and that we consolidate our gains and ensure the best outcome in Geneva for American interests. Those are all important objectives. An international presence will also help prevent conflict between our NATO ally Turkey and the Syrian Democratic Forces that have been central to the counter-ISIS campaign. This is what Trump is agreeing to. Yes, we might need international forces to keep the peace. But what they're saying is something a little different. They're saying that Trump is agreeing to keep troops, U.S. troops, in there. This is not what he's agreeing to. They think that's what he's agreeing to, but he actually put parentheses, brackets, around the part where he says 100% agree, all is being done. He didn't say troops are staying in there. He's saying, yes, I agree with this. We all agree with that because you don't want to see this happen once again. So we might see international peacekeepers in this area to keep the peace and to keep everything stable. And this could be made up of Russia. It could be made up of China. It could be made up of many different countries. So I wouldn't be jumping up and down saying that Trump is lying where he's not withdrawing the troops. He is withdrawing the troops. And these people think that they have him and he's just going to turn around and say, no, I'm agreeing to this. All is being done. We're bringing international troops in here. The U.S. troops are coming out. And the neocons and the deep state, they're going to be sitting there going, well, wait a minute. He goes, no. Look, we have international peacekeepers coming in to keep the peace. And this is what we decided on. I worked with Russia. I worked with China. I worked with this country. And Syria also agreed. And these deep state neocon actors, they're going to be totally shocked. Remember, there are people all around Trump that are trying to stop him left and right. They're trying to keep the status quo, but it's not going to work. He's one step ahead of them. Let's get into Q's post. This is post 2970. This is a Twitter link from Todd Penley. And it reads, I'll take what is a Q proof with 1,000 Alex. Q says, sometimes reading between the lines provides meet IG. Q. So when you click on this Twitter link, it brings you to Todd Penley. And then when you click on what Todd Penley was replying to, it brings you to Beer at the Parade. And this tweet says, POTUS notes from March 2nd, what's missing? Dates? Shapoopy. Now, there's hands with a wedding ring, with a red tie, and there's a list. And they're numbered. But they're missing 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So at Bear Parade tweeted a photo. Many people believe it's a photo of Trump, and they believe that these are Trump's notes. But we'll get back to that in just a minute. The photo has a list of 1 through 23. 15 through 19, they are missing. And you can see that Q is saying that we need to read between the lines. If we look at number 7, it says meet IG. Actually, Q gave us a hint. It said meet IG. So that's number 7. It says meet IG. So we'll get into that in just a minute. But let's go back to the photo here. So many people thought that this was Trump. This was his list. Because in the tweet, it does say POTUS's notes from March 2nd. But when you take this picture, when you take the picture and you put it into TinEye and you do a search, you find out that no, it's not POTUS, it's not Trump, it's Mike Pompeo. And this photo is from May 23rd, 2018. And the article that this came from says, in bitter exchange, Pompeo defends his concerns for diplomats' security. And under it, it says he came to the hearing with a to-do list of 22 items. Number 23 was blank. And the photographers captured this. So right now, Q says, read between the lines, meet IG. That's the Inspector General. So there are currently 73 offices of U.S. Inspectors General, far more than the initial 12 offices created by the Inspector General Act of 1978. Along with administrative staff and several financial and procedural auditors, each office employs special agents, criminal investigators who are often armed. The question is, which one is he meeting? So is he meeting Mike Horowitz? Maybe. Let's move on to post 2971. Q gives us a Twitter link. Uncle Jimbo, and this reads, at Jerry Nadler admits on CNN they have no proof of obstruction by @RealDonaldTrump. It's just his personal opinion. Meet the new hashtag witch hunt, same as the old hashtag witch hunt. Now, we went over this video yesterday where Nadler was talking to a reporter in CNN and said he really had no evidence whatsoever. It's his personal opinion. So Q says, listen carefully. Reference RE, proof versus evidence. D party con. Define evidence. Noun. The available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. The study finds little evidence of overt discrimination. Synonyms. Proof. And proof is highlighted in brackets and bold. Q continued. Number 1. Evidence, and that is in bold with kill brackets around it, or argument establishing or helping to establish a fact or the truth of a statement. You'll be asked to give proof of your identity. Synonyms: evidence, verification, corroboration, authentication, confirmation, certification, validation, and so on. Q says proof in caps equals evidence. Listen to the clip again. Reference proof and evidence. Define brainwashing. The truth is right in front of you. Think for yourself. They have nothing, but they're trying to convince you it's all one and the same. They have no proof. They have no evidence. It's a con. It's brainwashing. Post 2972. Annan posted a tweet by Breaking 9/11. And it says, security stepped up in New York City after 3 small bombs found near London transit hubs. WNBC. And Q says, coincidence? Post stringers dropped last night. And remember the brackets, -48, and there was a lot of talk about comms and about D-Fire good, about location assist. Well, it looks like Q was talking about these bombs that were found near London transit hubs. Now, the 48, this might mean 48 hours, and it might be a countdown, because Q then says, watch the news, Q. So in post 2962 to 2966, Q talked about fire, securing packages, clearing, and brackets -48. So in London, in the transit hubs, the Metropolitan Police Counter-Terrorism Command had launched an investigation after 3 suspicious packages were received at buildings in London today. The packages, all white postal bags containing yellow padded shipping envelopes, have been assessed by special officers to be a small, improvised explosive device. These devices, at this early stage of the investigation, appear capable of igniting initially small fire when opened. Let's go back to post 2962. This was March 4th. And remember, this breaking news came out March 5th. Back then, Q says, protect MGL, SJAH, with brackets -48, D-Fire good, location assist good. So it looks like Q and team and many others, they were coordinating this effort to stop what was about to happen here. And we can see that now security has stepped up across New York City, and there were 3 small bombs near the London Transit Hub. And we might see more out in the news where other cities were getting these type of packages. Now, this brings me back to a report that we did about a week ago when I mentioned that one of the videos that I had on the X22 Report Spotlight channel, that was restricted, and that video said false flags in multiple cities. I mean, this is a definite pattern now, and we're watching the news still to see if other cities start to receive these type of packages, and they're intercepted. Let's move on to post 2973. Q says, meet IG, Huber interview, RE, they range from domestic terrorism to court-authorized wiretaps of criminal organizations to child pedophiles and those who would exploit our children. Criminal aliens, big fraud schemes. Do you think the above is Utah related? Yes. Crumbs are being dropped and missed. Think scope. Q is letting us know that we are missing important crumbs during the countdown. So is it just related to Utah only? No, I think the scope is much, much larger than this. But the mainstream media is out there and they're just talking about Utah, which we discussed in a previous post. But we have to remember, Q has told us that Barr met with Huber, met with Horowitz. Barr is now taking over the declassification. So let's move on to post 2974. And Annan said the following: pointed this out earlier today. They specifically called them bombs, not suspicious packages, as per the norm. Q said fire. Q told us to focus on the word fire. These devices created fires. So again, we can see that Q and team and others, they were searching for these devices. They knew what was going on. Remember, a while back, they heard chatter of another false flag coming. Post 2975. Q says every barrel has a bad apple, but in this case, bad apples do not spoil the bunch. The core is what counts. The swamp is everywhere, and swamp and everywhere, they're both capitalized. Q is letting us know that there are many bad apples. There's corruption in government. It's all over the place. The swamp is everywhere. But all are not bad. There are a few that are good. The core is what counts. Think about it. There are certain individuals that Trump and others can rely on. Meadows, Jordan, Nunes, and many, many others. So the core is good, but there's many bad apples in the bunch. And these people need to go. Post 2976. Q gave us a picture of the 8chan logo. It's green snake, and it looks like the number 8 on its side. Give us a Twitter link to NSA Gov, and this link says, follow the dragon. The hashtag RSA, hashtag Ghidra talk has moved. Now at Moscone West 3001, 340 to 440. Also streaming live in West 2000. Downloads go live after the talk. And there's a picture of a snake, but it's in red. And under it, Q says, sometimes you need a little humor. Look familiar? Q. Q is comparing the NSA tweet to the 8chan logo. Looks very similar. Post 2977. Q puts everything from 2976, and below gives us Thundercats with a red circle behind a Thundercat with a tiger. Below that gives us another picture of the NSA with the dragon, and it looks like they're making a comparison to the cat, to the dragon. This looks very similar. And under this it says, X also grew up watching Thundercats. So again, who's X? Everyone's wondering who X is. And they're saying that maybe they've taken this picture from the Thundercats, and that's why it looks so similar. Post 2978. Q gives us a Twitter link to Sun Q Tzu, and this says the following. Q gives us a little humor, and then guess who else gives us a little humor 3 minutes later? At POTUS, at Real Donald Trump. If your eyes are open, you see it. So this is the tweet Trump tweeted out that this individual had on the Twitter page. Crooked Hillary Clinton confirms she will not run in 2020. Rules out a third bid for the White House. Aw, shucks. Does that mean I won't get to run against her again? She'll be sorely missed. Under this, Q says, good catch, Patriot. A puzzle within a puzzle. Red/green ? This is the same code that Q used for the Army Corps of Engineers to build the wall. Magic swords. This was an op from last summer, post 2064 to 2066. September 2018, the magic sword is the music they play while they're on their mission. NSA humor, Q. Now, Hillary Clinton right now is flip-flopping where she's saying that, oh, I'm not going to run. Oh, maybe I will run. Because she said that maybe I will run. I'm just waiting to see the Mueller report. Now, Maggie Haberman tweeted out the following. And we know that Maggie Haberman is the spokesperson for Clinton. And going back a while, Q was talking to Maggie Haberman, telling her to get off the train. And now is the time to get off the train before it goes into the tunnel. I don't think Maggie ever got off the train. I think she's sticking with Clinton. This is her tweet. Spoke to someone close with Clinton in contact with her today. They say that she wasn't trying to be emphatic and close the door on running when she spoke to a local reporter yesterday, and that she was surprised by how definitively it played. The person also says she is extremely unlikely to run, but that she remains bothered that she's expected to close the door on it when, say, John Kerry isn't. She has told her team she is waiting at least to see the Mueller report. So, like I said, I don't think Haberman got off the train. I think she's still with Clinton, and she's panicking right now because if Clinton doesn't run, Haberman's protection is gone. So it looks like she's trying to figure out what she needs to do here and maybe convince Clinton, no, you need to run here. Post 2979. And Ann asks a question referring to post 2970. This is the picture of Mike Pompeo with the list. And under it, it says, this is supposed to be POTUS hands? When did POTUS start wearing a wedding band? Q answered, Kansas. So Q just confirmed that it is Mike Pompeo because Mike Pompeo in 1998 moved to Wichita, Kansas. So Q is saying, yes, it is Mike Pompeo. It is not POTUS. This is a confirmation. Post 2980. Q put up New York Post. This is from November 28th, 2018. And it says, Trump threatens to declassify devastating docs about Democrats. Q says, read carefully knowing what you know. Predictable moves and countermoves. Death blossom. What is a death blossom? Well, a death blossom is a response to receiving little fire from your enemy to either run away or do the death blossom, spraying fire indiscriminately in all directions. That is exactly what the deep state is doing. They are panicking and they are going in all directions. They look absolutely crazy. They're not even making sense. So Trump issued the statement to push the deep state. He wanted them to use up their ammunition. He wanted them to become desperate. And he wanted everyone to see that the Senate said there was no Russian collusion. The House said there was no Russian collusion. And the Mueller report said there's no Russian collusion. This gives Trump more leverage because now the truth is on his side. These individuals that are starting these investigations, they're looking stranger and crazier and desperate every single moment. And this will continue. And they're shooting all over the place. They're going in every direction because they are so desperate. Post 2981. Sarah Carter tweeted out the following. This crisis has been brewing for decades. It can no longer be ignored. Something has to be done, both for national security and also for humanitarian reasons. Read here, border crisis hearing. It's real. It's serious. It's a threat. Commissioner for U.S. Customs and Border Protection Kevin K. McGallion strongly rebuked claims by opponents Wednesday that the border is not a crisis. He said he fundamentally disagrees with those who call President Trump's national emergency a fake emergency and laid out a litany of statistics exposing the serious humanitarian crisis and national security implications for the United States. McGallion spoke after opening statements from the Senate Judiciary Committee ranking member Dianne Feinstein and Chairman Lindsey Graham gave their opening statements. The issue discussed range from drug smuggling, penetration of drug cartels deep in the United States, and the counter-narcotics efforts being addressed by Department of Homeland Security and its divisions. McGallion argued with statistics to back his claims that Trump's request for $5.7 billion for border wall infrastructure is an absolute necessity as part of a comprehensive plan to address the crisis. Q says, but the D's, and the D's are in bold and kill brackets, already know they just lie, dishonest. Dishonest is all caps, bold, and in kill brackets. Q gave us another Twitter link to the real Cornet. Hurry and watch this video of @Senator Feinstein. Twitter keeps deleting it so it doesn't get out to the public. Take a listen to Feinstein. She is discussing her true feelings on the border. Welcome to the D Party Con. The letter D is in kill brackets, bold, Q. So take a listen to what Feinstein said.
We should be here are those who come legally at this time. And we've got to, for the time being, enforce our borders. The day when America could be the welfare system for Mexico is gone. We simply can't afford it. And I think you've seen the figures to state and local governments of what the cost is. It's over $2 billion.
I think we should enforce our borders. To have a situation where 40% of the babies born on Medicaid in California today are born of illegal immigrants creates a very real problem for the state, which is in deficit.
Look, of course you can enforce the borders.
Let me finish.
I agree.
To have 17% of our prison population at a cost of $300 million a year be illegal immigrants who come here and commit felonies. That's not what this nation is all about.
Very simple. They've been enforce our border. They have been speed up the asylum process. They have been crack down on illegal smuggling. They have been remove the option that is given to an illegal alien convicted of a felony, has an option of serving time in this country or in their own country. I say return them to their own country, wherever that country may be, to serve the time. So my proposals have been all along those lines, and I think most people have regarded them.
So as you can see, back then she was truthfully telling everyone the problem that we have at the border. Today, she's following the script of everyone else. Now, the New York Times, they say the border is now at a breaking point 1 month after a fact check claimed that there was no emergency. So now they're reversing their story. In the beginning, they said there was no emergency. They fact checked it. Now, a month later, they're saying, yeah, there are a lot of problems. Well, let's go through some of these statistics and let's compare and contrast these statistics with Obama's administration. So to adequately absorb the scale being outlined here, it must be remembered in July 2014, President Obama and DHS Secretary Jay Johnson declared a border crisis and requested $3.7 billion in budget appropriations for a total of 60,000 illegal border crossings during the migrant travel season. That's 60,000 total in 2014. Remember that number. DHS Border Patrol stats in the period of October 2018 through last week, there have been more than 260,000 border apprehensions. So that's a little bit more. So again, for scale, 2019 Trump versus 2014 Obama. 60,000 to 260,000. Obama wanted $3.7 billion for 60,000. Trump wanted $5.7 billion for 260,000. You think we have a problem here? Absolutely. There's a national emergency. I mean, they gave Obama $3.7 billion for 60,000. Here, it's 260, and they balked on 5.7. Amazing. Post 2982. Q says, freedom of thought will not only save you, but it will save the world. The days of fake news, and this is in brackets, bold caps, control of narrative, brainwashing are over. Enemy of the people, the great awakening, Q. Post 2983. And Annan said, Feinstein said this many decades ago, so she is absolutely full of it. Why is POTUS pushing for term limits? Q says. Time equals corruption. So it seems that Trump is, and many others are pushing for term limits because the longer you stay in this position in government, the more chances you have of becoming corrupt. And if you look at all these individuals that made this a career, they've become corrupt. Actually, the founding fathers, they just wanted this to be a part-time position. This wasn't supposed to be a full-time job, the only job you had with medical benefits, pension, a gym, private restaurants. This was supposed to be a part-time position that you filled, and then after it was done, you went back to your real job. But look what happened. Because there are no limits, they made this a full-time. Some of these people have been there for 30 years. This is ridiculous. It's time to end this. It's time to end all of this. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.